Hey everybody, what is up? And we are live from Glenwood Springs, Colorado, and right behind us is the Hotel Colorado. But without further ado, let's flip the camera away, make our way down to the hot springs, and see what we can see. Plus, we'll be exploring the downtown area. I do have this on low latency, meaning that the chat is going to be a little bit behind, unfortunately. Hello Blake, good to see you. Woo, hello, how are you doing? And thank you so much. I'm ready to get this party going. Let me know if you can hear loud and clear. I do have my microphone on due to the intense wind. So let's see what we can see, and let's see what is going on behind us. Just as a what row? Alright, sorry about that everybody. Not sure what the heck just happened, but just as a heads up, we are actually in the mountains, so sometimes the data might lag a little bit. I know, and behind us we got ourselves the Hotel Colorado, which does have a delicious grill, garden grill, and I'm making myself some buffalo chili soup later tonight. The one plus side about staying here, this video is not sponsored or endorsed by Hotel Colorado, but I do love pointing out the lovely features. Is that bam, look at that, right across from the hot springs. And if you look very carefully, especially if you walk down the sidewalk, which we will be doing, that is like an easy entry point for the hot springs. And that's good to hear. Woo! Thank you so much, Shay. Hello, Angie. And right now, if you're looking to come on down from Amtrak to using the Amtrak train, it does take a good 5 hours. But on a really good traffic day, it does take 3 hours from downtown Denver to where the zoo is, all the way up to the Glenwood Springs. And I do apologize if things look a little wobbly, a little shaky. I'm testing a new feature on Prism, and I don't have a gimbal, unfortunately. So my day has been going really well. I ended up waking up going to Adventure Park. My family and we ended up going to Adventure Park. Unfortunately, it was too windy to take the gondola back down. But the fortunate thing is I got a bunch of video of me on the gondola and seeing the very infamous Crystal Drop Tower. That park up there, aka Adventure Park, it is actually a half a day park, depending on the wind and your throw ride tolerance. And let me show you real quick. So you see, hello Robin, good to see you. Woo! So you see that little faint line on the mountaintop. That is the gondola to Adventure Park, and it's really hard to see beyond these trees and the fifth dimension. As you can see, a roller coaster track very faintly. They do have most of the rides are thrill rides, except for two kid rides, which is a miniature Tower of Terror, aka Dr. Doom's Freefall, and the other ride is a kids roller coaster. There are not very many rides for kids or people with a low thrill tolerance like me. They do have one inversion coaster, a supersonic alpine slide, and they also have a really two intense, really fast centrifugal full swing rides, and one that goes back and forth. Hello Gutty, it's a small world after all. Hello Janan, that's how I spent my day today. Unfortunately, the gondola ride up there does take a good 20 minutes, and the restaurants that we did check out mostly serve hamburgers and french fries. Unfortunately, we did not find that food appealing, so right behind us, bam, we headed down there and got ourselves some Asian cuisine, including ramen, pho, and some edamame on the side. We actually found a place that is a Vietnamese-Japanese cuisine fusion, which we do love. And yes, that's on the top of the mountain. I will definitely be explaining a lot more about the top of the mountain in my upcoming blog. And for those who are watching the replay, I'll be linking the blog in the comment section below. This way you can actually see what goes on top of that mountain. Hello CGL, good to see you. And yep, it's a super teeny tiny world according to Gutty and Richard. Hotel Colorado being established in 1893. Unfortunately, I'm not very comfortable filming in the lobby or filming other guests. But next time I come out, I'm definitely going to ask if they have a spa, or if they have a mud bath. And also another thing is, the room service can be a lot. Back in 2009, my friends and we ordered we ordered some ice cream for our room service. It was $40 for 3 people. How are you doing, Robin? How's everybody? Thank you so much, Blake. Woo! Boop the like. So another really wild thing, hello Shay, good to see you. Another really wild thing about that top of that mountain is if you happen to be stranded down and gondola be broken or it's too windy, gondola stops running at 25 mile per hour crosswinds because of its very petite size. The gondola can fit 4 people comfortably, 6 people a little crammed, unlike the Magic Skyway in Disney World that can fit up to like 5 people very comfortably. And also another thing is the bus ride does take a good 30 minutes because it does have to go zigzag all the way down the mountain, and it's not grandma's coach or horses because grandma don't be coming around the mountain today. She don't come up in the high wind. Yeah, we got ourselves some really weak mountain data. Welcome to our life. So you know how you jinx the mountain data? You put a little screen message and then you get 5 bars of 5G LTD. Welcome to our life. It's the irony. So now let's take a move on. Since we will be looping around the park in one of my future blogs, which will be posted in the comments once it's released, especially for everybody watching the replay. So that's how I spent day number 1 in Glenwood Springs. So now let's jump into the future and see how we are going to spend day number 2 in Glenwood Springs, aka the hot springs. They have really added a lot since I've came here from 2009. So let's go see what they got. And over here, I know I'm all over the place. I'm like bouncing around like Jimmy D. Cricket. Win, but road. Don't be blowing my mic off. We got ourselves the Red Rock Irons, some Red Rock iron flats. And as you come on up to Glenwood Springs, especially if you're both taking the Amtrak and your car or you're driving up here. What's really neat is that you actually go through a canyon. I do have a few clips which I'll be posting as shorts. There was not enough data to go live or to do like a long format video before my phone went kaput. So over here you do got yourself a rest area. This place can get really hot during the heat, and because we are higher in altitude, that means there's less air to buffer out the UV rays from the glorious sunshine, which unfortunately means that play structures including slides, benches, and tabletops get extra hot, especially if you're coming from the Caribbean or from Orlando itself. Over here is the restroom area, and last time I checked, it was around 5 o'clock. The bathrooms were locked, so I cannot use the bathrooms. Just as a heads up. This area is definitely a great place to let your dogs on a leash run around. From what I can tell, I've seen a few dogs already. So I'm curious, does anybody have any summer plans coming up or celebrating the 4th of July if you're in the United States? Yep, we are in Jalen. Have you ever been to Glenwood Springs before? And that's great to hear. Thank you so much, Robin. I like the message on the screen. Weak mountain data, here we come. Ready or not, here we come. So over here is the very first view, one more everybody, of the hot springs. So as you may see, there is a lot more water features than it was back in 2009. Back in 2009, there was not very many water features like these. All you had was the Olympic-sized hot springs pool, which is actually a little bit larger than your Olympic-sized pool. Your Olympic-sized pool is actually the width of the hot springs, but this is probably twice the length of the hot springs. So this is right here is definitely a new feature, which is why the ticket prices are a little bit more expensive. The ticket prices used to be around $20, but because of inflation and all the new features, from what I can see, everything it is now $56 to get on a Monday. Anybody who's 2 and under gets in for free. But over here, here's some more water features. Let me zoom on out. Yep, the temperatures are just as hot and as toasty as Denver, Colorado. Another beautiful thing about going to Breckenridge or to Vail is that you're slightly higher up. Even though we're at 7,000 feet right now, that 2,000 feet does not make much of a difference. So let me show you the pool real quick. Boop. One moment. Alright, so let's see the pool. Alright, we can't get too close out of respect for the guests. But over here you see that elongated pool. That is the Olympic size. That is that pool. From what I can tell, it's double the length of an Olympic pool and double the width. The pool used to be bright blue. Not showing they gave it a black asphalt bottom. And unfortunately, when you go to the mountains, it did not mean cool. There are actually some regions around the world where which has inverted temperature. Where the higher you go, the hotter it gets because the cold air does sink into the valley, like Bucaramanga in Colombia. The hot springs is definitely something to do all day. And as a heads up, for those who not know, you are not allowed to bring your own food and water, or ice chests into the hot springs. We did ask at one of the checkpoints. They said nope, no food or water. So you do have to buy the food and water provided, which can be a little bit more expensive. And the food goes for $14 a plate, especially if you want to have a soda. That's just a heads up. Oh, that's so awesome, Angie. I'm definitely going to be looping the lazy river a few times tomorrow, just like what I do with the people mover, especially if it's not as busy on a Monday, and weekends can be a little bit busier, as you can see. Over there, you see that over there by that red building with the slanted rooftops, that is Hotel 8888. And rumor has it that if you stay at the hotel, you either get reduced or free hot spring admission. Please don't quote me on that whatsoever. And what row? We got ourselves the lava lag monster again, so we gotta evacuate this area. And if you look very carefully behind the bushes and the lag monster, you can actually see that there's a fountain area. So you know what's really wild about the mountains is what I noticed is that up on like the walkway you get the best signal on the planet, but the moment you drop elevation, bam, that is when the lag monsters awaken. They do have an athletic club within the 8888, and I believe that the 1888 was founded in the 1800s. And also at Hotel Colorado, another thing that you should know, especially if you're coming with kids, is it not have a free continental breakfast. You do have to pay for your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast is not included. Not sure about Hotel 8888, but you get immediate premium access to the hot springs, as if you're staying at Hotel California or Grand Wilderness Lounge in Disneyland. And here comes a wasp. Wasp, go away. Hold on, the Hulk. It's good to see you. How you doing? How you doing, Nicole? That's good to hear, Lyle. The lag monsters be tricking me. So let's see if we can get an even better view of the area, but not get too close. So by the waterfall area, which can be a little hard to see through the gate, is a really hot super mineral tub that can get you really toasty. Or that could be the exit of the lazy river. But if you look really far into the distance, you can see two round pool area that looks like Mickey Mouse's ears. And each pool, the temperature can get from like 95 to 100 degrees. After 5 p.m., it becomes an adult-only area. But the main pool, until the park opens and closes, it's like an all-ages pool. That's just a heads up. And another thing, let's just take a close look. Let's see if we can walk around a little bit more before we have to go back upstairs, go back on the bridge. And another thing is, if you happen to be staying in hot springs, here's something very convenient, which I will show you. So over here is the walkway to the city. Down there is the highway. And then kabam, look at that. If you keep going a little bit farther, which I will be showing you right now, over here is a parking lot. And over here is the hot springs. And on Monday, each hot spring ticket is $56. That's on a weekday. weekends it's a little bit more moolah. And another thing is, if you want to go up on gondola, if you want to go up on, wait, one moment, let me get back to the bus up. This is the pool exit. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look at gate A, let me show you. Whoop. But over here by gate A, if you're in the pool and you want to zip on into town, that is where you can exit. But over here, if you follow the sign in the sidewalk or the yellow brick road, wherever you caught, you can get straight into the pool entrance. Yep, you do have to wear summer shorts, and in summer we wear t-shirts, depending on the climate that you live in. So let's take advantage of the shortcut and go up into the city area. Oh, thank you so much, Angie. That's right. I was hoping that we could show you tonight. Another thing that you should know about the hot tubs and about the gondolas and about Adventure Park, which I forgot to tell you. You can go first. It does require a $50 admittance fee just to take the gondola, and it's like another $7 for the cave tours, another $7 for another cave tour. So your tickets will run you $50 plus extras. And if you want to ride the rides, another really big down. Alright, you can go. Alright, you can go. Another really big downside about the gondola and the theme park is if you want to ride all the thrill rides, you do have to get a ticket with all the rides included, unless you want to go a la carte. That ticket, I believe, will run you $103. And over here is the splash pad, especially if you have smaller guests who are not very keen on going in an actual pool, just like my niece who loves to go out and splash. That's so awesome, Lyle. You know what's ironic? We've been looking at H2O coming out from the ground, and then at Lyle's place, the H2O is coming down from the sky. So literally, we both have H2O coming from one direction. I got H2O coming from the ground, and Lyle got H2O coming from the sky. And same here, Angie, especially when there's been a drought, is just really satisfying. So let me go over here, whoop, and let's see what we can see as we go to the city. And I'll show you my very favorite view of all of Glenwood Springs. Whoop! I know I've been saying that we're going to the city for some time, but here it is. This is the actual size of the entire Glenwood Springs resort. Another reason I'm showing you all these shortcuts is that these shortcuts are big enough to handle some foot traffic, especially if you do have a swim bag, and especially if you have a large family or a large group of people. And we came just in time because they unfortunately shut off the lazy river. As you can see by the decreased water levels, it looks like the lazy river shuts off around 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you want to get your lazy river rides in, you definitely got to do that before 6:30 p.m. Don't quote me on that. I could be so wrong. Hello, Izzy. How are you doing? And Lyles is asking, is this the Garden of the Gods? How far is it? This is actually Glenwood Springs. And you know why it's called Glenwood Springs? Is that all of the mineral water comes all the way up from the mountain place, comes down the river stream, goes kabam, lands right in this pool. And this was actually founded in the 1800s when people discovered geothermal activity and energy that would heat up all your H2O, and that's how you get some nice and toasty water, even in the dead of winter during a blizzard. Hello, James. How are you doing? Woo! Hello, Laura Jam. Stitchy Stitch. And this actually is made out of plastic. This is actually made out of plastic and plastic and stucco, just like the Grizzly Rapids in Disneyland, Disney World, and all the rock structures in the Animal Kingdom Safari. But in amusement park terms, yes, it's technically supposed to be made out of clay, because if you look very, very carefully in the mountains, you can actually see that the mountains are made out of red rocks and red clay, which is why Colorado is known for its Red Rock Amphitheater, and it's also known for its Red Rock. Let me know if you can hear. It's also known for its Red Rock Amphitheater, and it's also known for its flat islands and boulder, which is something I would love to show you someday. Pardon me. I'd love to take you around. Oh, sorry. I would love to take you all around Boulder, Colorado someday. Alright, so here we go. Let's boogie. Like monsters be at the finest. So here it is, the full grand miraculous pool, the 10th wonder of the world, not the backside of the tower, but here it is. Look at this. I know the lazy river needs the water. It's definitely not. It's more like the cement river of sadness. Oh, sorry. You can have my spot. So here it is, the ultimate view of the resort. It really is. Robin, do you hope to? I'm curious, but does anybody or anyone hope to visit? Hello, Shelby. Does anybody hope to visit the state of Colorado? If so, where would where would Jake to go? If you can't, where would Jake me to show you? That's Sony Izzy. Red Rocks is actually one of the only outdoor amphitheaters in the entire world. And do you know that the Glenwood Springs area has the only underground drop tower? Hello, McBee, good to see you. Woo! You came just in time because we were talking about the Red Rocks. And I'm curious, McBee, have you ever filmed or took any photos at the Red Rock Theater? So there it is. Whoa. So I'm thinking next time if we do have some really good signal and data, I'll show you all around the Red Rocks area, the border area, and whatever area you'd like to see in my home state. This is what it's like living in Colorado, and what's really wild that if you have a vehicle, it's a 3-hour drive from Denver, a 5-hour train ride from Union Station, and if I had to get here and I can actually get from where I'm living all the way here via mass transit. And what I really love about here is that if you take 6th Avenue up here, and then you just take a right turn, bam, you literally have a gateway to either the hot springs or to the city life, which we're going to go check out right now. And let that be some powerful Wi-Fi. Woo! Some really good stuff about this area is that it is wheelchair accessible, and it does have some observation decks on the side if you need to pull over or do what you need to do with your family, which actually makes this area really family friendly. This actually reminds me of Colorado Walt Disney World. And also another thing I just noticed, I know I'm jumping around like Jiminy Cricket, but if you look down here, you can actually see that there's a lot of seated area that stays in the shade your entire stay, as long as you can get yourself a first come first servant seat before anybody else does. So we got ourselves a nice shaded area. And over here, unfortunately, I do think that the splash pad does close, that this entire area closes at 6:30 or 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that's the biggest bummer, because I do love splashing in the evening, and I would love to do a nighttime lazy river ride. I know, look at this view. I feel like I'm Peter Pan right now. Hi. Oh, that's so cool, Izzy. I'm curious how is Bloomfield like? I've never been to Bloomfield before. Only thing I've seen from Bloomfield was a bunch of fields, plains, and crops. And another wild thing about Colorado is that you get this really beautiful part of Colorado, but then at the same time, kabam, drive a few 30 minutes east of Denver, and you get a bunch of flatlands, Colin and Blair. It looks like, oh shoot, that's a wasp, that's a wasp, that's a wasp. That's a wasp. Oh, run. That was scary. Engine check. Yep, we just had an engine check, and yep, we can outrun wasps for now. It definitely is Angie, except for a wasp nearly flying up my ear canal. I actually had somebody who had a wasp go flying up the trumpet and into the nostril. They literally had to shoot a wasp, not the wasp, but the mill moth. And somebody actually had a moth lodge into the inner ear during a baseball game. Oh my gosh, I nearly got stung. That would have definitely put a stop on the entire day. We nearly got stung by a wasp, And do you know that somebody actually got stung by a wasp inside the Tower of Terror in Disney World? They were screaming in agony, and the family thought that they were screaming just because of the drops. But they're actually screaming because they're getting stung like 10 million gazillion times. And now we're back to the view. So I know, Izzy, I know, energy. It was ouchie, 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 ouch. In the ouchie, ouchie, ouchie room, in the ouchie, ouchie, ouchie room. So I do wonder, how was Bloomfield like? Another thing is, when you visit Colorado, I recommend coming either in the late spring or the early summer, around July, around late June or early July. Like right now, it is like a bazillion, 1,000 degrees. Hello Morgan, good to see you. It's like a gazillion, 1 billion gazillion degrees. Even though people be like, isn't Colorado supposed to be very cold? I don't want to move to Colorado. I don't want to visit Colorado. It's too cold for me. But come during the summer, and you'll be roasting as if you're standing in the middle of Epcot or Hollywood Studios on a 100-degree day. Definitely is one heck of a pool, and it's actually double the size of the Olympic swimming pool. From what I can tell, the width of this width of the pool is actually the length of an Olympic-sized pool, making it one of the biggest pools in Colorado. I know, Angie, wasp, no jokes. Neither do I, Lyle, no bees, no wasp. And it definitely is one mighty pool. Also, Morgan, I don't think I can see you quite yet. My YouTube be acting up. So I do wonder, does anybody have any favorite cuisine or any kind of food that you would like me to look for? Yeah, Lyle, can definitely tell that things have changed because I don't remember Colorado getting this hot. And also, Lyle, I forgot to ask, but have you visited Colorado before? And also, as a heads up, if you do want to park at the springs, it does require a parking fee. I believe it's around $30. And also, if you want to park at Adventure Park, it's a $10 parking fee for both premium and regular parking. Actually, the dock area of the pool is the middle of the pool, and it's actually very shallow. This entire pool, except for the diving board area, is 4 feet in depth at all points of the pool, making it accessible for your entire family, especially if your kid uses flotation devices, and you can keep a very close eye on your kids or your younger guests. Oh, that's so awesome, Lyle. I'm curious, when was the last time that you were in Colorado Springs? I've never been to Colorado Springs before, but I would love to see it someday. I've been to Fort Collins. I actually lived in Fort Collins for a few months. Unfortunately, I had to relocate because my work that I got turned out to be seasonal work. Even though I thought it was going to be yearly work, it was only seasonal, so I had to get the heck out of Dodge and move back to downtown Denver, and I ended up working at a pizza place. Another thing is, downtown Denver is a little bit warmer than this. Even I just realized, but downtown Denver is like roughly the same temperature. Really hot, really toasty. It got up to 75 degrees today in the mountains. That's so neat, Lyle, that you've been there in the early 2000s. Oh, that's so sweet. Last time I was in Garden of the Gods, it was for an 8th grade art project, and we were supposed to draw how the gardens looked. So now let's go. So since I'm a little bit hungry, let's go boogie on down to and finish up our boardwalk walk before we get stung by another wasp, because nothing can stop us now. Nothing can stop us now. And that's right, Lyle. Colorado is one state away from Mexico. The only state stopping Colorado from bordering Mexico is Arizona. And do you know that in Colorado, that is actually called the 4 points, because Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and I believe Nevada, not Nevada, but one more state, actually do converge into literally the 4 corners. And that's the only part of the country where 4 states touch on all 4 corners. Oh, that's so cool that somebody was wearing a Disney shirt. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see what it was, but if anybody wearing a Tata shirt, let me know or forever hold your peace. So here's my other favorite looking point. I nearly forgot to show you this, but let's take a look. Let's take one last stop before we gotta get down for dinner. That really sucks, CGL. That's 105 degrees. I'm curious, CGL, you don't have to give a specific state, but are you in the southern region or the northern region of the United States? So right here is the highway that you will literally drive up from to arrive to Glenwood Springs. The one positive thing about Glenwood Springs is how quickly you can get up, how quickly you can literally get off the highway and right into the hot springs, which is why I believe that Glenwood Springs got so popular, is it was literally a roadside attraction. And if you look very far beyond the buildings, in the deepest, darkest corners of the imagination, you can actually see the canyon where this river next to us actually carved through over millions of years. I wish I was able to show you, but it's like a lag monster zone. It is just as bad as Haunted Mansion. Try and get reception in that canyon. And each canyon wall is like towers at least 1,400 feet. Just like, wait, here it is. I just see this. But if you look very carefully on that mountain, you will actually see the roller coasters and the cave view. You're literally 13,000 feet up above like the roadside all the way into that mountain, making it one of the highest amusement parks in the world. And cave views. And do you know that the person who purchased the caves, I already forgot the name, literally thought there was a bunch of silver and gold in the caves. Kabam! All they found was stalactites and other cave stuff like rocks, minerals, definitely not diamonds or jewelry. But they just found a bunch of cave stuff, and they opened it up to the roadside attractions. Initially, they were charging. Hello, Moscow, to see you. Woo! We are having an amazing time today. I know, Angie, I can't get over the mountains, but going back to the cave, the reason that the cave was considered so wonderful and wondrous is that the miners thought that there was a bunch of gold and silver and would strike it rich. However, they decided to open up the cave for the roadside attractions, charging people $1 to get in. And after they added electricity, because of how the copper wires and how the electricity was being streamlined from demo, created a lot of literal shock value and electrocutions, they dropped the price down to 50 cents. How are you doing, Moss? And I know, Angie, I can't get over the mountains either. That's why I'd be staring, oohing and ahhing and making it very slowly on over to dinner. Oh, that is so cool, Lyle. I am curious, when do you get to go up to Pikes Peak? I went there back in 2021, and I definitely remember feeling lightheaded and faint from just the really thin atmosphere. At Pikes Peak, you basically have 20% oxygen of what you would have at sea level. At Everest, it's more like 7%. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm bad with percentages. And that's why I would really love to show you around more of Colorado. The only trick about Colorado is that because of just like the Haunted Mansion being a gigantic block of cement, the mountains act like a gigantic block of cement, which is why I'm like only able to show you parts of Colorado that are well developed, like Glenwood Springs or Boulder County. Down there is a river, and you can actually take a white river raft and either you can either paddleboard, tube, or take a raft down this river. Unfortunately, I think you do have to start at a certain entry point and an exit point, just because of how barricaded this road is. And you need to be between the highway. And here it is. Look, here you go, Moss. Here is the Amtrak station. Let's go and take a closer look at the Amtrak station. That is the station that I literally pulled up to on my way to Disneyland in April 2026. And you know what's really ironic? This is actually the second time that I've been to Glenwood Springs this year. And you know what's funny? I actually live streamed myself pulling up to the station, coming out of the train. It was dumping rain. I had to run back in, and I cannot believe that we're going back to this exact same station that we literally live streamed from. Hi, hello. So over here it is. Here's where things get real. It's kind of hard to see because of the glare. Thank you so much, Mars. How are you holding up? And I still would love to go to the Death Valley and visit Las Vegas again. So straight across from us is the red rocks. You can literally see how red the sun is and how red the rocks are. Whoa. I know the sun and the water. Let me see if I can get a better view. So hang tight, everybody. We got a bumblebee camera. This is what the water actually does look like. Unfortunately, there's a highway blocking the picture perfect view. So here it is. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Moss. Unfortunately, we can't get the pretty view as we went just because of the guardrails, which I understand. But bam, look at this. Let's keep on walking and let's see what we can see as we get down to the city level. Nothing can stop us now. Oh my gosh, Moss, I can't wait to see you again too. I just find it really wild that we were literally at this train station back in April 2026. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm literally in a cosmic rewind situation doing the time warp. And these were the exact same train tracks that took me and my friend Keith and all of you down to Disneyland. Woo! That what gets me excited. Really, really excited. I know, but like, oh, but woo, woo! Imagine having to take Colorado River and river raft all the way down to Disneyland. That would actually take a few months. And do you know that somebody tried kayaking from one side of Brazil to the other side of Brazil? It took them like 3 months, and unfortunately, because of weather conditions, they were unable to complete their mission. And sometimes, because of like how high up the rainforest is, you can actually get snow. So here we go. Let's take a closer glance at the Amtrak station to see what amenities it has, because unfortunately, it was only a 5-minute rest stop when I got here. But if you're waiting around to Glenwood Springs, let's take a closer look. So you know what's really nice about this bridge is that they do have 2 elevators. Regular elevators, not service elevators. If those service elevators, I'd be a little bit worried, especially if I went in them and they had seats and seatbelts. I'd be like, no way, Jose, we're taking the stairs. Oops. So we do got ourselves 2 elevators right there. Boop. Two elevators. They do have. I won't get too close, but they do have. But it's like big enough to put your bikes and your electric scooters inside. All your EV devices. So down here, which will be taking the stairs. We'll be taking the stairs all the way down here, and we'll be taking a closer look at Amtrak. Does anybody have a favorite food or snack that you'd like me to check on out? Unfortunately, I won't be able to stay inside for very long just because of how poor and weak the reception is. The moment you get behind these brick walls, especially in the auto cement buildings. I know, hello, Sia, good to see you. Woo! I'm doing well. What about yourself? Hi. Right now, we're going back to the exact train station that we came out of when we were going on our way to Disneyland, and here it is. Oh my gosh, look at this view. This kind of stuff gets me excited. I know. Blake be ruining rock and roller coaster with these loop-de-loops. Imagine if there was a Tower of Terror hybrid rock and roll coaster where you literally get inside of the elevator, put your chest restraints on, and then go on a loop-de-loop down into the 5th dimension. Alright, so here it is. Oh, that's so amazing, Moss. I remember that. Keith and Tony, what an amazing train ride. Next time, we should take the specific shoreliner. I'm curious, but where does the specific shoreliner go? Right now, we're going to be approaching this Amtrak station, and I literally cannot believe that I'm coming back here for the 2nd time this year. What's really nice about this area is that there's an actual seating area with some trees. Unfortunately, the trees and firelights are not working right now. But let's see what our next departure is in case you want to get onto a train to Disneyland. That's what I like about the seating areas, is that you can literally bring your own food from the train or picnic, especially if you have a delay or an extended layover. I understand, Sia. How are you holding up today? And oh my gosh, one of my favorite things to do is just like how people look for hidden Mickeys in Disneyland and Disney World, is they look for hidden stickers, like a bunch of random stickers that people post around the city. And Lyle was asking, have you ever been river rafting before? Unfortunately not, but if I can get myself a waterproof device and a waterproof streaming setup, I'll be taking you all along on a white river raft. So here are some restaurants near the train station. So we got ourselves a shopping and dining sign. Really hard to see. They don't mention any restaurants. So we got ourselves a food and drink pub. It looks like they do serve pub food. And then since they have baseball on, and the food seems to be beer, pizza, pretzels, any food that you can find in a pub. Then you also got yourselves the KC's, Kansas City's, KC's Ring and Sports Bar. It looks like that I'm not sure. It looks like that they do serve Jamaican food like your rice or beans. I'm not quite sure. Have not looked at any menus, but taking my best guesses. And you got yourself the Jersey, the steakhouse, which is awesome, and likely a 1950s inspired dining car. I'm just taking my best guesses since I don't want to get too close I don't want to get too close. I'm curious, like, when do you recommend to go white river rafting, and what's the best time of year? We got ourselves the Maxwell Anderson Hotel, which is a classic hotel, I believe from the 1800s. And I also get a feeling that this hotel was featured in a horror movie like The Shining. I can't remember which movie, but definitely not The Shining, because that Shining hotel is another 2 hours in the mountains by Estes Park. And Johnny's asking, where is this? Right now we are actually in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. So in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, we do got ourselves, this area is known, this area is known for its hot springs, and of course its train station to Disneyland. Just kidding. It's hot spring area, adventure park, amusement park, Cave of the Winds, Jewel Cave, Fairy Cave, all the caves. And it's also known to be a very quaint mountain town with a geothermal activity that keeps the water nice and toasty even in the dead of winter during a blizzard. And my entire family back in 2009 were putting on the bathing wear, and I'd be like, why is everybody putting on a bathing suit? It's a freaking blizzard. And my family was like, you can swim. So it looks like this is the Amtrak station, and you can see it's kind of hard to see. Thank you so much, Johnny. Is there anything that you'd like to see tonight? Let me back up. So right here is the Amtrak station, the Glenwood Springs station, as you can see by the official Amtrak sign over here. Bam. Here it is, Amtrak, bam. And Angie's asking, does the hot springs make it a busier attraction in the winter? Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure, but if I was to take a guess, probably not, because everybody be going to the tropics or the Bahamas. Most people do not, like myself, do not associate swimming with the winter, and I couldn't put that together until somebody literally took me to the hot springs. I can also see people going to the Theodore Geisen caves or going inside of a spa for a winter retreat, and people do prefer going skiing actually. So here it is. I know it's kind of random, but let me zoom on over. Hey, everybody, it's going to be a grasshopper moment. Can't zoom, unfortunately. Now, why are we zooming? If you look very, very carefully very carefully, you can actually see the amusement park on the top of the hill. I do apologize for the improper Tower ride. I know, why is the camera lens going like this? Wonky. No, enough Bumblebee. So let's see if we can actually go into the station. Thank you everybody for your patience. We are on a gimbalist night, which means we had to use the video stabilizer, which makes things a little wonky and sad. So the station hours, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Unfortunately, we can't get in, but if we were able to get in, we'll be able to buy some tickets. And the restrooms are only for ticketed guests only. They do have an elevator to comply with ADA laws. I know that's high as a kite. One moment, everybody got to plug on in. Hi. I'm not sure what I just did with my finger. Whoops. Thank you everybody for your patience. My phone be taunting me. And of course I thought my battery was plugged in. And now I'm being taunted by technology. Thank you everybody for your patience. The technology be taunting us tonight. On our annual ride, everybody. This is when I wish I was an octopus, because this is when I wish that I was an octopus, because I definitely need 8 tentacles by now. Actually, wait, do you know that octopuses tentacles? Do you know that octopuses have arms, not tentacles? Because the difference between an arm and a tentacle is that a tentacle just floats around, has no nerve system, but an arm, just like a human arm, does have a nerve system. Izzy's asking, is it 5:50 p.m.? It is actually 6:50 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and it's actually 5:50 p.m. in Disneyland, 8:50 p.m. in Disney World. I know things close early, things close nice and early, especially on a Sunday. Most of the coffee shops and the hotels close by 4 p.m. Even though there's like a lot of high tourist volume and traffic, bam, everything shuts really early, most likely because of like the locals, and the hours that people are able to work. It's always 5 o'clock somewhere, or like 8 o'clock somewhere, 8 or 5 p.m. somewhere. I know it's really hard to see, but if you look inside these windows, if you look very carefully inside of these windows, you can see a whole bunch of gnats, some lamps, and like at least 2 rows of 8 train booths, and a train schedule. Next train does not seem to depart until 9 a.m. Either arrive or depart at 9 a.m. this morning. So yep, another thing is, if the conductor catches you in a sleeper car, and if you're riding coach, they'll kick you out at any station they kick you out at any station possible. So whatever you do, if you are a coach ticket, don't go trying to sleep in the sleeper car, because kabam, you can end up here in Glenwood Springs when you're trying to go to Disneyland. It's okay, Izzy. I be getting my times confused. You know what kind of really throws me for a loop is when I'm visiting Disney World, is that it be 9 p.m. at night, and then I open up a Disneyland streamer, and kabam, the sun's still nice and bright in my eyes, especially during the summertime. Hello, Chaz. Woo! You came just in time for the mountain extravaganza. So here we got ourselves. So we just got done with the Amtrak station, and you can see the tracks that will take you all the way to Chicago, going one way eastbound or westbound to Disneyland. And you know what's kind of funny and really ironic about my life is when I was riding is that because of how Amtrak works, you literally have to start in Chicago. And then you go through Denver, then you go through Glenwood Springs, a few other stops, and bam, you're in Disneyland. You know what kind of got to me the most is I literally flew to Chicago, only to end up in Denver 24 hours later. I literally busted my bottom just to get to Denver, Colorado, just to get to Chicago. But then I was at Union Station the next day. Welcome to my life. Let me know if I need to refresh or if I just need to rebuffer if the lag monsters get too much, because the lag monsters, they do love hiding inside of these flowers, especially in the garden area. All you have to do is touch the flower, boop, and the lag monster will fall out and eat your stream alive. That's the rumor. That's so wild, James, that Alaska is 2 time zones behind Colorado, 1 time zone behind Disneyland. Boop. Let me get out of the way. And Lyle says, that's crazy, Tony. Why do you just not get a train at Denver and take a train to Disneyland? Unfortunately, that's not how Amtrak works, especially if you're traveling with somebody. Because if you're traveling with somebody, you do have to start in the same destination. You do have to start in the same destination city. You do have to start in the same destination city. Not destination city, but starter city, departure city. Right? Why is my mouth moving, but I'm not making any sense? Welcome to my life where my mouth moves and I don't make any sense. Hello, Keith, that's right. Hello, good to see you. That train ride aboard the California Zeppelin, that we went on was back in April, was also awesome. I'm curious, Keith, when it comes to that Amtrak train, what was the highlight from the train journey. And you know what's kind of funny is that we just summoned Keith, talk about Amtrak long enough, and poof, Keith shows up in the chat. Whoa, I gotta see something. I know, I'm getting so sidetracked trying to get down for some dinner and lag monster. Nope. I know, Lyle. Amtrak be doing weird stuff. Same with YouTube. And of course, we got barricaded by a tree. Whoa. This is it. This is the money shot right here. We got ourselves an Amtrak, a highway, a river. We literally got ourselves 3 modes of transportation, some houses, mountains, a sun. Welcome to Colorado paradise. Hello, Mrs. Daisy. So good to see you. What's up? How are you doing? And yep, this is what the reality of traveling around Colorado is during the summer. It is hot as heck, just like Animal Kingdom was this morning. Even during sunset, which is supposed to be at 8 o'clock, so at 8:17 p.m. It's still hot as heck. You still be melting. You still be sweating. Only time it's cold is between November to March, and after March, that's when Colorado gets nice and toasty, just like Orlando, but not humid. It's just dry and toasty heat. Keith says the highlight for me was seeing these 2 rainbows. Seeing these 2 rainbows, one in Utah and the other in Nevada the next day. Aww. I still had the video of the double rainbows, which I'll be posting as a shout, so please don't let me forget. And I'm curious, have you ever seen a double rainbow across the Utah Valley before that? Not the Utah Valley, but anywhere on any of your travels? I do remember seeing that double rainbow in my neighbor's backyard when I was helping them move. Somewhere over the rainbow, I got myself a copyright strike. Somewhere up above in the sky with a lemon drop, I got myself a copyright strike. That's the only lyrics to Somewhere Over the Rainbow I remember. If anybody else knows the lyrics to Somewhere Over the Rainbow, we'd definitely be singing. Otherwise, I'll be singing my copyright modified version, where we always get copyright strikes. That's the beauty of the YouTube. Oh, that's so amazing, Keith, that you got to see a double rainbow back in Norway in 2019. I'm curious, did Norway have any trains, or was it just a cruise ship? For me, when it comes to Amtrak, what I love is just being able to see something different outside the window. One moment it was a dairy farm, a cattle farm. The next moment it was into this mountain valley. I could literally just be sitting here all day long watching this, but not. Let's go see what the downtown hype is about, and we can come back to the mountains in the evening. The one thing that surprises me about Glenwood Springs is just how quiet it is. And that was going to be very loud with a lot of music right now.
That would be nice.
That's so wild, James, that Alaska covers 5 time zones. It was consolidated and called Alaska Daylight Time. So for Alaska Daylight Time, I wonder if there's like a lot of discrepancies. Like it was 5 o'clock in Nome and it'd be nice and sunny, but in another part of Alaska, it'd be 5 o'clock and be pitch black. That's right, Robin. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high in copyright strikes, there's a land I hold, once in a lullaby allegedly. What I really love about this walkway area is how the city made use. What I really like about this walkway area is how the city made use of the bridge's overhang and actually put infrastructure for people to sit down and relax in the middle of it. That's something I wish that Denver would take note of. Another thing is, if you look very carefully up above the sky and above a lullaby, you will see, just like from Fort Collins, that there's no power lines. did you know that Walt Disney took inspiration from Fort Collins, Colorado, and somewhere in Missouri, and literally removed all the power lines and power stations, and put all the power lines underground. That's why you don't see no power lines on Disney property, even the resorts. Oh, that is so neat, Keith. Yes, Norway has a couple of trains. One of them goes from Oslo to the capital, all the way to Tromsø, the largest city north of the Arctic Circle. And there's other trains to do, scenic rides to do as well. I'm curious, were you able to go on any of the trains?
So how'd you find that out? I didn't see none of y'all.
I just had to refresh again. Alright, come on. So I just had to refresh. Bright light. So let's see if there's any food options or if there's anything that would be looking tasty. Over here, they do sell French fries and they do sell truffle fries. I'm trying to forget what the name of the restaurant is, but it's a Riviera Kitchen. They do have a bar there. And over here is a CNH Ranch House. Looks like they do sell fine wine. And on top is a family Mexican restaurant. They do serve standard Mexican. They do serve Mexican food. And let's go up to the Moose. Oops. So over here we got ourselves the chocolate. Over here, alright. See you around. Alright, see you around, Lola. It's so good to see you. We got ourselves a chocolate mousse. What I love about the chocolate mousse area, is that they do seem to have homemade ice cream, and the ice cream does take a long time to melt, especially if you eat it in the air-conditioned basement, which is perfect since they also have fudge and chocolates, and they just have to be desired in there, unfortunately. So that's the place that I had ice cream earlier, and over here is a pierogi truck. Oops. Over here is a pierogi truck. What I like about the pierogi truck is that you can get an order of 6 pierogies for $12, a full order for $21. And what's really nice about that truck area is that you can even 6 pierogies are really filling. And what I love about it is that you can get toppings for $1 each. So I got $1 worth of sour cream. Delicious. So let's go on down, see what else there is to see. What really surprised me about this area is just how quiet it is. Unlike Pole Street Mall and downtown Denver. We do got ourselves King Walt Mall. Up there is a Japanese food cuisine that I was mentioning earlier. Right down there is a touristy shop. Unfortunately, it does look like it's closed right now, but they do sell cowboy hats. They do sell cowboy hats. Right. They do sell cowboy hats, and it also do sell blinged out ski boots, which is something I would definitely ski in. Wow. If I could, I'd be blinging out the skull and making it look like the Tower of Terror, nice and pink. Definitely a lot of bling bling, which I love. So now let's just walk on down. We got ourselves a barber salon, whatever that place is called. Oh, that's so cool. That is so cool, Lyle. That looks like Town. Do look really cool. I'm curious, but where's Town located? As you can tell from over here, the farther you walk up, this place actually becomes less touristy and a lot more local. Over here, a lot of these places are already closed except for the Sunday place that sells artistry ice cream. Oh, you're very welcome, Chaz. I'm so glad I could show you around Denver, Colorado. I wish it's not Disney, but this is some stuff that did inspire Walt Disney's Main Street USA. Speaking of which, I do hope to show you Fort Collins, Colorado when I get a chance, because that was one of the biggest inspirations for Disney World. How am I gonna see? Woo! I be getting honked at. The one thing that does surprise me the most is just how everything closes, especially in out of Colorado. Colorado, unless say Boston Pumps, is apparently not known for its nightlife, but rather its daytime life like hikes, biking, and kayaking, and especially if you have a dog or kids, that's when Colorado gets really good. It looks like we can boogie. Here we go. Whoop. Let's boogie on down. Boogie down Main Street, Glenwood Springs, Main Street, USA. So ready to see you in October. I'm so ready to see Main Street, USA in October. And I'm also really ready to see Disney World all decked out in December, first week of December. So Matthew, how are you holding up tonight? The one thing I find kind of funny, if you look right here, is that they have a bunch of Christmas lights and they never light up. It's like they have the Christmas lights all up all year, and they only light up during the Christmas season. And over here's the Colorado Mountain College. I'm not sure what the Colorado Mountain College is about, but it's probably for people who are into caving and geography. It also looks like that, if you look very carefully, it also looks like that it's a chain. It actually does look like that. They do have multiple locations, including one in Steamboat Springs. I can't talk. My mouth be running 1 million miles per hour. My mind be running 1 mile per hour. Keith says, James says, do you know that the operation complex for Disneyland is under the park? It is a massive complex. I had no clue that Disneyland was actually underneath the park. I actually thought that Disney World was the only park that had the tunnels and the operational complex underneath. And I was kind of surprised to see that there was a cast member building above the ground. I thought it was all under the ground or under the sea. And also, Matthew, how is the train trip today? Keith says, Glenwood Springs looks like a really nice mountainside town. On the train, you cannot really see much of it, so it's nice that you're getting some time to explore. Definitely is, and it's actually very nice that I can actually walk around and show this to everybody without really lousy or laggy Wi-Fi. So we got ourselves some more hand-painted artwork. That's what I love about mountain towns, is just how hand-painted everything is. It literally feels like I'm back in the 1950s. Yummy, yummy, my tummy. Enchilada special today. Enchilada's gone for $15. Bam. Looks like once you get to 9th Street, that's when things are gonna be really residential and not very touristy or tourist friendly. And yep, everything is already closed for the night. It's like the farther you get away from like the hub, there's like the farther away you get from the hub, the more everything closes around like 5 p.m. on a Sunday. That is so neat that you're back in the 407 Orlando area. Woo! And I'm curious, Matthew, how come you ended up back in the Orlando area if you don't mind me asking? Right up here where we're not going to be going tonight is the Bank of Colorado and the theater district. So when we get to the site, we gotta make a U-turn. And the reason that we do have to start heading on back is that in Colorado, as a friendly reminder, just as a friendly reminder, the moment that sun starts setting, especially in the mountains, kabam, you instantly lose daylight and you'll be traveling back in the pitch black of the twilight zone. I learned that the hard way. I learned that the hard way a few times when I'd be hiking around Colorado. That's why I'd be hiking at 9 a.m., not 5 p.m. Oh, that's so cool, Keith. I'm definitely looking forward to riding the Bright Line down to Miami with you next August. It's been 20 years since I've been down. That is so neat. And I'm curious, Keith, when do you get to go to Miami again? And what brings you down to Miami in August? I would love to meet you too, Matthew. Yep, I got solo data or something. I definitely got Twilight Zone data by this point. Not sure how this data is holding up, but poof, it's somehow holding up. Hello, Maddie. It's so good to see you. How are you doing? Right now, we are marveling about how quickly the sun sets behind the mountains, how quickly Colorado gets dark, like literally an hour before official sunset, just because of how the mountains are very quick to conceal the sun, which I've learned the hard way exploring Breckenridge and going on a hike once. So I'm curious, Matthew. I'm curious, Maddie and Matthew. Have you ever been to Colorado? And same with anybody in the chat. Is there any places that you want to see in Colorado, or have you been in Colorado before? Woo! All right, 201. We got Kadash around the road, not Kadash, Kachow. I'm definitely beginning a lot of lingo from Richard. Mama Medulla, here we go. Alright, this might be taking 5 minutes for the first time in forever. I'll be waiting for a light. And I'm also curious, Matthew. When Keith gets down to Miami, what do you recommend for Keith to do, or what do you recommend for newcomers to be able to do? Oops, gotta go boom boom. Yeah, leapfrog, Frogger. Sometimes we be playing Frogger. So over here we got a bunch of closed shops, more closed shops. Welcome to Glenwood Springs on a very quiet Sunday evening. Not sure why, but I thought there was gonna be at least some music bands. Given that it's like 5 days before 4th of July. Usually on 4th of July, the music starts picking up and the city gets a little bit more lively. By the way, is that because it's June 28th, not quite July 1st yet, or 4th of July, the city is a little quieter. And also, do you know that in Denver, people be setting off fireworks? I do love myself some piercing and I do love myself some vinyl, and what's really neat is just how intricate this vinyl is. What's really neat is just how intricate this vinyl is and how much time it must have been, especially with these really fine lines to basically remove from the sheet of vinyl, which is called reading. This is the kind of stuff that does get my attention and gets me to pull on it over, especially with this really fine vinyl right there. Another reason why I don't really like to show film shops is because especially in small towns, there are some store owners and businesses that get really snippy if you start filming inside the shop, which is why I don't really film much, which is why I don't really go into mini shops, and plus the Wi-Fi can be a little less to be desirable. That's why whenever I go into a shop, I want to show you a shop. That's why whenever I go into a shop, I actually want to show you some place. I actually do it in the blog style. This way I have full permission from everybody. You too, Amusement Park Pod, woo! And I know Chaz, we gotta get Tony tattooed. If I was to get a tattoo, I'd be getting the Tower of Town's logo on my wrist. It was gonna be a red 7, now it's gonna be the Tower of Town. That does look pretty good. That does look pretty tasty. And I'm not sure what it is, but it's the native sun. And it is actually the agave bomb, which makes me think that they do sell tequila in there. How are you doing, Amusement Park Pirates, and how was your trip to Hawaii? I nearly forgot to ask that question. My bad. So we got ourselves a fresh choice barista. Let's see if it's open and let's see if we can get some smoothies. So we can get ourselves some Aki bowls, coffee wraps, and smoothies. I definitely would love to come back and try one of the bowls, maybe tomorrow, or maybe the following day. Or maybe the following day when I get back from the hot springs. Matter of fact, we're going to be live at 8:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 a.m. here. So we're going to be seeing how it is to be waking up in Glenwood Springs before you go to the hot springs. Yeah, we got ourselves, bam, a nice creamy Tesla Model V. Speaking of Tesla, some of the newer Teslas are self-driving, and as long as you have your hands on the steering wheels, the Tesla will just drive itself. So right here, what's really wild is I won't be doing this, but what's really wild is that I believe that they do sell food trucks, and I do see the Bumble food truck, which seems to sell both wrappers and Greek food. And I'm curious, Lyle, have you ever been inside of a Tesla? Have you ever been inside of a Tesla Model Y? I do apologize if I'm missing a bunch of the chat right now because of how my chat keeps jumping around on my screen. Angie's asking that, are you staying through the 4th of July? I do wish. Unfortunately, between the cats, my family's cats, my family's me, my family, and my family's work schedule, I'm going to be leaving on July 1st. I don't have any 4th of July plans. Which is kind of a bummer, but I'll definitely find something to do. I understand, Lyle. The only thing that impresses me about Teslas is all the self-driving features. And I also just really like how they look how the interior has a lot of curvilinear lines. Amelia Park Pirate says, I'm good. Hawaii was great. Unfortunately, I got a little sick, but I got better. I'm so glad to hear. And Chaz is asking, what island do you get to go to? Or do you get to island hop, just like you can resort hop in Disney World? And also, I know, here's a big $1 million question. Do you ever get to go to the, Romo please, do you ever get to go to Aulani, the Disney Hawaiian resort, which is like the holy grail of resorts? Do you also know that Joe Roddy designed Aulani, Pandora, and Animal Kingdom itself? And what's really wild is, do you also know that Joe Roddy also created Mission Breakout too? And the Hightower Hotel in Disneyland Tokyo. That's all the attractions that Joe Roddy has created it, and that's another reason why I do wish to stay in Aulani. Woo, that's awesome, Keith. Well, we don't have plans to celebrate the 4th of July. We'll be in Disney's Hollywood Studios doing in 2027. Woo, oh my gosh. I literally cannot believe that I'm going back to Disney World for Hollywood Studios in 2026 to 2027. That is a dream right there. That's so neat, Chaz, that you got a lot of family on the Big Island. And Chaz says Hilo, Kona, Hawaii, and Wahami. Sorry if I'm pronouncing the last one. But what I find really wild, when it comes to that big island, is that I've actually been to Hilo and Kona. What I love about Kona is that it's a coffee growing plant, and what really blows me away about Hawaii, about Kona, is that it has a really quiet lagoon that you can literally go snorkeling and wading in. Whatever you do, you gotta be very careful about your feet, especially if you step down on a sea urchin, because that could destroy and obliterate your entire trip. And also another thing is when it comes to Hilo, it is actually the rainiest side of the island, because all the rain stays up on the mountains, and instead of going in the corner, the rain literally slides down the mountain and pelts, and literally oops, no. And literally will obliterate Helium. But meanwhile, if you're in Kona, what's really nice about it is that it stays really dry, and all the rain and all the moisture does trickle down into the but it does trickle down into the soil, which makes the entire island really lush. Another wild thing about Hawaii is its geography. When it comes to Hawaii, it somehow got really lucky despite it being being on the same latitude as Saudi Arabia and as the Sahara Desert. However, due to how the wind currents and how the water currents work, Hawaii is one of the rare islands that does get potted with a bunch of rain, making it the lushest and greenest area, some of the lushest and greenest area in the Pacific Ocean, along with the Philippines and Indonesia. And Matthew says, Tony, I told Keith, my grandpa, that he was in Cuba, that he was a soldier in Cuba when there was a war in Cuba in 1961 called Bay of Pigs War. I'm not very familiar with the war or very much war history, especially when it comes to Cuba. That is something that was really overlooked by my primary school social studies teachers. I really hope you get to go to Hawaii, and I had no clue. I didn't realize that Aulani was actually was in Honolulu, not on the Big Island. And what I noticed about the Big Island is that the Big Island is actually like the ski resort. It's like equivalent to Breckenridge, Glenwood Springs, and all the small resort towns in Colorado. But Honolulu, like the Big Island, like not the Big Island, but the island of Honolulu, is a lot like Denver, Colorado, and has like all the major infrastructure. Another interesting thing I noticed, I know I'm going on a ramble about Hawaii, but another interesting thing about I know the porta potty be ruining the view. Censor, block it out. Bleep out the porta potty. Bleepy. Hello, Jason. Good to see you. How are you doing? Hello, Jason B. And that's right. This is a screenshot. If you want to take a screenshot, here you go. I bleeped out. I edited out the porta potty. Oh, same here, Keith. I can't wait to hear more about Matthew's life and history. And unfortunately with YouTube does frown upon if we do speak about Rome, which is really heartbreaking. And here it is about the porta potty. Whoop. So when it comes to when I was on the Big Island, what was really wild was going into the airport, and literally there was like people lined up for the airplane as if they were lined up for the Skyliner or the monorail, and they literally had to take the island hop as a commute home. There's quite a few people who literally island hop, and Hawaii is one of the few states where you literally have to take a plane or a boat to get between cities and different parts of your states. Hello in the podcast, how are you doing? We're having an amazing day, minus the porta potty view, which we just edited out. Bleep. The magic of technology where you can edit stuff out. And also, Keith and Matthew, I'd really love to hear more about your history. And same here, Keith. And also same Keith and Matthew, I'm really looking forward to talking in person. Keith says, it was cool seeing Cuba from Disney Treasure cruise ship last September en route to the Cozumel, Mexico. I forgot that we were able to see Cuba. Speaking of Cuba, the last time I saw Cuba was back in 2017 when my family was adopting my sisters, and we were flying from Miami to Bucaramanga. Literally, I looked out, saw all the results, and then I saw Cuba. Actually, I saw the Dominican Republic and then Cuba. What's interesting about Cuba is that it looks like it's a volcanic island with a lot of like really gray, dusty, musty stuff. We actually got to see Cuba City. We actually got to see Cuba City on our way from Florida to Cozumel. And what's really wild about Cuba City is if you zoom on in, it actually does look like a city from the future. And it was supposed to have a Riviera. It was supposed to have a Riviera casino that was supposed to open before Cuba literally got shut down. That's my historical understanding. I'm very sorry to hear Matthew, and I'm very sorry to hear about his loss. Keith says, I recognize these tracks. Hard to believe that we were just on these exact tracks when you travel to Sacramento for a couple of days before continuing to Los Angeles on the Amtrak, Coastal, and that's when we got to see the edge of the Pacific Ocean that literally if we kept going, would lead to Asia. I just actually find what's really wild right here is that oh my gosh, and I just fell off a rock. Oopsies. Let me regain my balance. 1, 2, 3. Everybody, grab my hand. Help me up on the rocks, please. Everybody, here you go. Help Tony out. Here you go. So I actually find it really wild that I was literally sitting on the exact same tracks, and then kabam, we went to Sacramento. I just find it so wild. And I'm like looking at the same tracks that brought us to Disneyland. Lyle says, I believe that the CSX and the Norfolk Southerns use the same tracks. I'm curious, but where does CSX and Norfolk Southerns go to and from? I have not been on the Empire Borough or the New Orleans route quite yet, but that's something I would love to do, either on a Vikings River Cruise or on an Amtrak. That I did not know that, Lyle. The ones closest to Tony is the CSX. Which is the right track, and the other one is the Norfolk Southern, which is a track closer to the green bushes and the river too. So I'm curious where are the termination points or the final destinations for both tracks. And what's really wild is that it is almost 8 o'clock in Colorado, and the sun is still flying high in the sky. But pretty soon that sun's gonna go rapidly go blunk faster than the Tower of Terror can drop. And Angie said, can you see the result from here? Sorry for clarification. Sorry, I forgot to ask, but for clarification, what result are you asking about? Oh, that's awesome, Chaz. Oana is option 2. I have family there too. Oh, have you gotten to go back to Oana quite yet? Alright, so let's go check out the result again. I know, Angie. So this is what I see. On one track, you go to Disneyland. On the other track, you go to Chicago. For me, I'd be wanting to go to Disneyland. Or if you want to take a very long scenic route to Disneyland, inflate a raft, jump on the river, and you get to go to Disneyland. But it'll take you through the Grand Canyon, and it will take you 5 months. Alright, so that's a good question. Where is the Tonio Tower staying? So to sum it up really quickly, I forgot the name of the resort. So you see the Skyliner, the not so magical Skyliner that gets shut down every 5 seconds. See where the termination point is, aka the main station. That's the hotel I'm staying at. Yep, East and West Coast. Oh my gosh, that really sucks. Lyle. Speaking of Colorado, Tony, we got stuck up in Vail Pass, Colorado, going through a Vail snowstorm. Were you on a train or were you on foot on a car? Oh my gosh, what a nightmare! So not. Let's see if we can get a closer view of the resort. The resort hotel that I'm staying at actually does have an indoor swimming pool, non-outdoor swimming pool, which is the only downside. It does have continental included breakfast with your resort fee. I couldn't agree more, Izzy. So we are actually going to go back up on the bridge and see if we can get an elevated view. Oh my gosh, that really sucks, Lyle, that you were in a tractor trail. How long were you stuck in Vail Pass? Oh my gosh. Do you mean roller coaster or result? Actually, wait. Oh, you're not talking about the roller coaster? You're not talking about my result? You're talking about my roller coaster. So you know what's funny is if we follow these tracks, you know what's funny is that if we follow these tracks and keep walking this direction, if we follow these tracks and keep walking up this direction to the station, we get a few feet closer to Disneyland each time. Every day is a new beginning. Every step I take is a new beginning. Closer and closer to Disneyland. Let me see if I can zoom the heck in. Come on, zoom in, baby, zoom in. So here you go, Robin. If you squint your eyes a little bit harder, you can actually see a roller coaster. Is this the roller coaster you're talking about, not the result? Oh, same here, Chaz. I'd be talking about the porta potty too, honestly. So if you squint your eyes very closely, you can see a porta potty or a roller coaster, depending on how. If rumor has it that if you squint your eyes really hard, you see a roller coaster. But if you don't squint your eyes, all you see is a porta potty, and that's it. That's so awesome, Keith. That will be back in Disneyland for October. Woo! For the Mickey Mouse Bash. Hello, Rosalinda. Good to see you. And right now we're talking about porta potties and roller coasters. Chaz was responding to, let's see, drum roll everybody, what was Chaz responding to? Ha 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 ha, the roller coaster porta potty. And yes, that's right, Angie, we are actually gonna be blogging the amusement park from today. I got myself a bunch of footage, gotta sit down, edit it out. Kabam, you get a roller coaster amusement park blog, the Tonio Towers style, where we don't ride no rides, but we just look at rides. So it could be the most anticlimactic theme park blog on the planet, but that's how we do it. It's a porta coaster, anybody? It's a porta coaster. Who wants to be riding the porta coaster? Because it's a portable roller coaster that you can literally put from all the way downtown Denver to the top of the mountain. And do you know that roller coaster, do you know that park used to get all of the electricity from downtown Denver? Hello, Rosalind, good to see you. And that is it, the gondolas too. Is that what you meant? The roller coaster, not the result, not the porta potty. So now let's go up on the bridge again, bam, and let's see what we can see since we're getting into the twilight hour. But not, let's take a closer look at the river real quick. I know we can't cross the tracks because we'll be getting busted by Amtrak for trespassing and all the good stuff. And here it is, the 10th wonder of the world, a porta potty. This is definitely taking the tone. What the heck's going on? What the heck's going on with my buttons? I have a question, but what time is it in Disney World? Oh my gosh, Robin says, I have never seen a porta potty sitting out for people unless it's a festival. That is different. My only guess is that they're either trying to reduce congestion inside the hotels, gift shops, merchandise shops, quick service shops, or that there's some construction going on and they have not put away the porta potties yet. Keith says it'd be at 9:34 p.m. All right, we got two 9:34 p.m.s. That'll be like 8:34 p.m. We got a 9:34 p.m. from Keith and 9:34 p.m. from Matthew, Magic of Matthew, and 9:34 from IHOP from Robin. We got 9:34 p.m.s, and we got 8:34 p.m. So it looks like everybody be voting for it to be 9:34 p.m. even though the sun is nice and up. So, looks like the summer solstice is going to last another few months. Just given the fact that it's almost 10 o'clock, or somehow we teleported to Norway. Oh my gosh! And Robin unfortunately busted my Norway equator fantasy, because the closer you up to the poles of the planet, you get 24-hour sun, just like in some parts of Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Norway. Yep, and we be getting busted by Robin. Robin be busting our bubble for Norway and plopping us back into sunny Colorado. Reality check. Keith says Disney World is the same time zone as my home up in Maine. Oh, that's so neat. You mean Portland, Oregon, or Portland, Maine? Oh, Portland, Maine. Oh, look, I have another surprise for you all. Is that a porta potty or power station? Let's walk and find out. Matthew says, Lion, you're behind the time zone. You're behind the times. I actually thought that Lion was in Disney World time. So Lion is definitely behind the times. So am I, and so is Disneyland. We are behind the times. Oh, that is so neat, Angie. There's a place called the Cliff Rock in Newport, Rhode Island that has them. And Lion will be like, no, that's Eastern Standard Time. So here it is, the 9th wonder of the world. An electrical porta potty that combines electricity and a porta potty. What could possibly go wrong? Yep, that porta potty be giving everybody the scenic view all the way up to Disneyland, and that should last you to Disneyland. And I couldn't agree more, Angie. I make a vampire. I make an inverted vampire. Instead of running from the sun, I'm running to the sun. And if we keep an electrical porta potty, might get electrical mayhem from the Muppets. But if we keep on walking this direction, next thing you know, we're gonna end up in Chicago. That'll take us at least 5 months to complete, and at least 10,000 gimbals and batteries and a few iPhones. Unfortunately, this won't be a Denver to Chicago walking live stream as we hoped. Sorry to burst your bubbles. Oh my gosh, Chaz. I didn't know that your cemeteries were so huge that you literally have to have porta potties at the cemetery. Yep, that's right, Robin. You have a 5 minute limit and you go kapow. That'd be one sad day for everybody. And I'm curious, Chaz, what's the biggest cemetery you've ever been to? Yeah, dangerous is all get out. Oh, 8:34 p.m. and 7:34 p.m. Almost 8 p.m. my time. Almost 8 p.m. and 7:34 p.m. in Disneyland. 6:34 p.m. in Disneyland. So everybody who's watching from Disneyland, say hello to time travel. Yep, that's right, Robin. We become fried ham. What has the stream evolved to? What? This is supposed to be a Glenwood Springs toy stream. Now it evolved into me walking along the rail tracks, seeing porta potties and the mountains. What has become of my life right now? Really? Really? Oh, that's so neat, Angie. For me, when my family was growing up, in New Orleans was so humid that you couldn't have anybody underground, so you had to put everybody in boxes, which made cemeteries, which elevated all the tombstones, and you literally were stuck. You literally could go around the cemetery, and if you got really lucky, you could take crabs. This was back in the 1960s. You could take crabs, put a candle on the shower, and you'd have ghost crabs with candles. That definitely freaked out my family a lot. A lot of people would do that. Oh my gosh, Robin, you'd be starting it. No, wait. I actually think that I was actually going to have to say reverse uno this and blame Angie. Reason say I blame Angie for this talk is that she was the one to point out this picture looks very picture perfect. We should screenshot it, except there's a porta potty, and now we're talking about that. Yep, Angie got busted. Sorry, not sorry. Me both know. Robin says, I plead the fifth. Angie, what do you plead? And what does everybody plead? Chad says, Google search Rose Hill Cemetery, California. It's huge. Is it like a few miles big? It's like a few miles big, all the size of an Olympic swimming pool. Angie be like, I plead the fifth. Not sure who the artist is, but this kind of stuff does catch my eyes. Hi. Wow. We do have to be a little quieter because I wish that we do have to be a little quieter because this is like the residential area. And I think this is like the hotel over there. A residential. Yeah, we got ourselves some fake flowers, an electrical porta potty, a mountain train track. And I'm curious, Angie, what do you like about cemeteries? Oh my gosh, Lyle. What the heck? And I'm curious, Chaz, where were you earlier this evening? I saw that you were at the beach, but I'm not quite sure, but I cannot remember the name. And for privacy reasons, I won't say it unless you say something out loud. Unfortunately, it looks like we're at the end of the line unless you want to walk into the highway, which is kind of doomsday for everybody, especially the microphone that could get ripped off my shirt. So now let's go back on the overhang and enjoy the last few minutes of sunset before it turns into the twilight zone. And of course, we could be getting some lag monsters over here. Let me know if I need to refresh again. And over here, behind this bus stop, they do have a public transport system. I believe well past the Glenwood Springs, especially for people who don't have a car, but who either work at the hot springs or who love to go on vacation. I wish that Colorado would actually have an actual monorail like Washington D.C. or New York City. That's so neat, Chaz. I worked in Inglewood Park Cemetery for 10 years. It was big, pretty big too. If you don't mind me asking, what did you end up doing in the cemetery? That's so neat, Angie. I never thought about the cemetery being like story time. And I especially enjoy seeing, I find fascinating about cemeteries is if you look at all the rock etchings, you can actually see it has taken its toll on the marble stone. Alright, let me know if you can hear. Microphone might have gone out. Alright, going right here for 20 seconds. Microphone's going out. Let me know if I need to unplug the mic, replug the mic in. Houston, we might got a problem here. Microphone might be going kaput. I didn't know that your cemetery was in the movies. Do you know what movies your cemetery was in by chance? Whoa, that's so wild, Chaz. Did you get to see the movie stars? I know I'm coming with you. I know I'm coming in hot with a lot of questions. No, let's go boop on. Let's go cross on over to get the better views. Left and right, let's go. I'm glad to hear that mic be working again because that mic really nearly went kaput and I have been sad. Especially given how windy it is. Another thing you should know about Colorado is that most of Colorado, especially the very pretty scenic areas like Glenwood Springs, are 7,000 feet plus, meaning that you can get into elevations down 9,000 feet, 10,000 feet, and it does take an altitude adjustment. Altitude adjustment, especially if you're coming from sea level or lower elevation. There's a really good chance that you could get elevation sick for the first 24 hours. And I do recommend drinking a lot of water. That is something I nearly forgot to tell people, especially if you're coming for the very first time, or if you've not been here for at least like 5 years. You will definitely be in for massive system shock, just like how shocked I was when I was visiting Disney World with the humidity. It's definitely really big. It's definitely a massive between the elevation and how dry the air is. A lot of chapstick. What's going on with the mic? So I do recommend packing a lot of chapstick. A whole lot of water, and drinking constantly, especially if you're new to the state. For me personally, because I've lived here my entire life, my body has adjusted since I was born here, since I came here at 9 months old, and I came from northern China. So that's how I'm pretty used to the elevation, and walking around at 7,100 feet is not for the faint of heart, especially if you're used to walking at sea level. What? Hang tight, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me or not. Alright, let me know if you can hear me. Yep, definitely is very dangerous. I don't recommend doing that. Let me know if you were able to hear me or not. And what happened? That's good to hear. So what happens is when most people come to Colorado, they think they can go straight to Pikes Peak, Breckenridge, or even to Denver. But what happens really fast is they find out the hard way that you will get really sick really fast, especially if you're going to Blackhawk, Colorado, which is around 7,000 to 9,000 feet in the sky. And that's when, and especially if you plan on drinking like a lot of booze, that's when things go downhill really fast. You can literally be going from having the best time of your life to going into an ambulance. The reason being is if you end up is that what happens is that the effects of alcohol kick in a lot quicker than you would ever anticipate. For instance, if you can usually have three drinks at sea level, you might only be able to tolerate half a drink at elevation. Same of just about anything in elevation. Like if you can like walk a mile in Disney World, you might only be able to walk 3 blocks when you get up to the elevation, which really does take a lot of people by surprise. Glad to hear that you can all hear. Hello Blake, good to see you. Woo! Oh, that is so neat. Oh my gosh, I would love for you to come to Colorado, Angie. Same with your Chaz. Anybody in here, and same with your Chaz, Robin, in the park days, Jalen, woo, in the Midway Park Powers. I'm Lyle, Blake, and all. I would love for all of you to come down to Colorado. Oh, that sucks, Angie. So, if you ever get a chance, come on, take an Amtrak down to Colorado, and we can have a good time. I don't mind how long you stay, especially if you do need to adjust to the elevation, and especially since I live a mile high in the city. It definitely is one pretty place to be here right now. I'd love to see you, Lyle. If you ever come to Colorado, please let me know. This way I can show you around via mass transit. Unfortunately, even though I'm old enough to rent a car, 26 years old, I don't have insurance, so I'm technically a non-driver, and I do have a driver's license, but after I got my driver's test complete, I'm like, bam, not driving again, insurance is too much, bye. That is so awesome, Keith, that you were just here in April. And yep, these places are very far from the airport, Blake, that is right. When it comes to the airport, it does take you a good 4 hours to get from here to the airport, and it's a really expensive Uber ride, unless you have somebody to come pick you up, or this is what you can do to save some money. So you get on the airline, you take the airline to Union Station, then you go get yourself an Amtrak ticket, then you take the Amtrak to Glenwood Springs. That's how you get from the airport to here. It'll take you like 8 hours, but it's definitely worth it if you're looking to squeeze some pennies. Another heads up is if you're on Amtrak and you don't have a sleeper car reservation, I recommend getting into the diner car will cost you $50 per person, just as a heads up. Lyle was asking, Tony, how high are you in the elevation? Where are you down? How high are you in the elevation? Where are you at down Colorado? That's a really good question, Lyle. Right now, I'm 7,100 feet up in the air, and it's like a little harder to breathe, but not by much, because I live at 5,280 feet, which is like a mile high. That's why Denver's called a mile high city, and that is what it's like to literally be at elevation. Same here, Moss. If you're ever around, please let me know, and we can take the Amtrak to Glenwood Springs, so we can be here right now. Angie's asking, I am curious, how is it hard for asthmatics to breathe at altitude? Unfortunately, I'm not sure, since I don't know very much about the medical or scientific side of like elevation and asthma. But my best bet to play it really safe is to bring extra inhales, and instead of driving straight up, drive up, take a breather for like an hour, see if you can breathe, then drive a few more miles up, take another breather, and slowly make your way up to the mountains, even if it takes you a few days. That's my biggest recommendation, is to take it very slow and steady. And unfortunately not Blake, I'm not gotten to the Amtrak today. Unfortunately, I missed the Amtrak, no sights of it. Another thing about Colorado, which really does blow my mind away, is that because of the elevations, you can see spring 3 different times. Once in Denver, go up a few more 1,000 feet, then you can see spring again. Wait a little bit, then keep going up the mountains. I forgot where you can do this, but you can literally see spring unfold in front of your eyes 3 times. And that's why, Angie, it is best to slowly acclimatize, especially if you're new to elevation. And that's what you do when you're hiking Kathmandu to Everest Base Camp. It's like a 10-day hike, because it does require quite a few acclimatization days. You literally go from a mile high to 20,000 feet up in the air. It definitely is. Rudolph the bright red sun, shining glorious in the sky. So now let's go back to our favorite spot on the bridge and hang out there until sunset. I know we've been at this for like a few hours. We do have to call it quits around the 2-hour mark, just because I do have to find something to eat, and a lot of places are closing. But we do have some more time. So why not just hang out? It definitely is bright red, shining bright like a red sun. And for me, I definitely recommend going very slowly, especially if you're not very sure about the elevation. That's the thing, that elevation is the one thing that ruins people's trips to Colorado the fastest and the quickest, especially if you come from a very moist and humid climate. This is what the city does look like when it's all lit up. The one biggest surprise about Denver, the one biggest surprise about Colorado, is that it consists of a lot of really tiny mountain towns that are mostly resorts and condos, not very much of a downtown area. But I do get a feeling that when 4th of July just come around, or another major holidays, that's when things could be getting lively and stop popping. Honestly, Colorado is a very quiet state compared to New York City, Chicago, or even Orlando at night. It's a very quiet mountain town. Everything closes early. There's like no loud music, no loud concerts, except maybe for 4th of July or at Red Rocks. Same with Denver. Everything is closed at 8 p.m. unless you love bars and pubs. Even that closed at 2 a.m. And Mouse is asking, is it close to Vail, Colorado? This is actually an hour away from Vail Pass. Alrighty, see you around, Lyle. And I totally understand. I hope you make it through the storm safe. and see you on the other side. That is so neat, Moss. That Vale's off to 70. So now what, for our very last view tonight, let's go up on this bridge and see what we can see. This is what it's like. This is what it's been like. This is what it's like spending 2 hours in Val during a summer June evening. Just as a heads up. And this is what you basically should come to expect. I can't guarantee it, especially if you're watching this later or in the way distance or in the future not too distance. This is approximately what you should be expecting and what you should expect when it comes to nightlife or things to do in the city, especially during a non-holiday weekend and on a Sunday. Alright, see you around, Angie. It was so nice to see you. I totally understand. I hope you have a wonderful night. Whoa. I hope you have some really wonderful Disney dreams too. And Angie and Lyle, I dream that we can meet you in Colorado. I know it's finding a better viewing spot since we're getting like traffic blocked. It's blocked by the traffic. I'm sorry. Whoa. Unfortunately, there's not a very good viewing spot right now, but let's see if we can get a little bit better. Here it is, the money shot, kabam! Look at this. Whoa. What a view. This is such an underrated view. Even though we'd be looking down at the parking lot, this view be so underrated. I have not seen something like this for quite some time. And you know what's really amazing is as the sun goes down, you go from being roasty toasty to very cool and pleasant temperatures to the point where you can literally sit outside and just like relax all evening long. Alrighty, so I do ways that I do have to get going myself too. It's been such an amazing evening, so thank you so much everybody for being here. Thank you so much for coming along on tonight's Colorado Adventure, because we'll be seeing you bright and early at 8:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for even more adventures in Colorado, just to see what a perfect day in the Springs looks like in the morning, and just to see what breakfast options we have, since we do have quite a few dinner options until 10 p.m. Unfortunately, we cannot really show you very much, just because some restaurants are very picky about photography and people zooming into the menus, unless you get pre-approved recording. You too, Blake. Good night, Moss. Good night, Amusement Park Pirates. Good night, Mrs. Days, In the Park Days, Chaz, Moss, Lyle, Angie, Robin, I Heart Disney, Jalen, Jason B. So good to see you. Woo! Blake, it's been such an amazing and fantastical time. You too, Moss. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And let's do one last view over the hot springs before we wrap it up for good. This right here is my very favorite view, unless I'm stung and bitten by a million wasps. Let's get in the center view, or as close as we can. What a view, you two, Izzy. Have a wonderful night. This is how we love to end it. And then says Spaceship Oak, we get Spaceship Hot Tub. All we need is the Epcot music. All we need to do is get that Epcot music clanking, and we will literally be in Disney World again. You two Chaz have an amazing Disney dream. You two amazing Park Pirates. I do apologize if I missed anybody saying good night. Unfortunately, my chat was been a little jumpy, bouncy like a grasshopper, so I do apologize for everybody who I missed. And if you have not already, please be sure to smash the thumbs up button and subscribe to Tony Tower for even more Denver and Disney adventures, especially if you love all things about the Tower of Town when it comes to tidbits, travel, and Tower trivia. Same with Denver, Colorado, or any areas within the state of Colorado. You too, everybody, have a wonderful night, and we'll see you around tomorrow. Woo!